In a year where development is the biggest key for the future of the Washington Wizards, there is one player that stands out above all that you need to see take that year two jump. It's Alex Sar, and we're going to tell you why on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you're locked on to the Washington Wizards. We're your part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm one of your co-hosts, Ben Strober, and I cover all things DC Sports for 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. And alongside me, as always, the DC Sports content creating savant, Abdullah Ayubi. AB, how we doing on this Monday?
Great win by the Commanders yesterday, Ben. Wizards basketball getting closer day by day. You love to see it.
It's crazy because Sunday is the first preseason game for this Washington Wizards team. I'll be out there at Capital One Arena, excited for that opportunity. And yeah, we're going to get things going, and we're going to see our guys in action really for the first time. We've seen some inner squad scrimmage, some videos have surfaced from that wasn't open to us, obviously. But we're going to talk a little bit about that actually in the second segment, and then some predictions ahead of the preseason. Alex Sar, what do you got, man? Because I think this year is so pivotal in terms of the Wizards rebuild, because as we mentioned in our Friday episode, that this is year number 3 of the full teardown, the full full rebuild for this Wizards team. So ultimately, you want to see real positive growth from these players. But if anyone is going to take that leap for this Wizards team and actually result in a much greater result sooner rather than later, I think it's Alex Sar, because if you have somebody that can really become a physical presence for you on the offensive side of the basketball, defensive side of the basketball, and that be your big man, that's going to take you a lot further, a lot quicker. I think if you still have concerns about the center/power forward position going forward after this year, then maybe you'll have some questions on where the organization is heading from here, because we know how it is in the NBA right now. You need to have a very good big. Whether that's someone that is playing at the 4 or the 5, you'd like to have somebody that has versatility, the ability to stretch the floor, but you need somebody to dominate on the inside. And ultimately, Alex Sar in his rookie year, he struggled at times to do so throughout the summer, struggled at times to do so. But year number 2 is an opportunity for really a fresh start in terms of physicality, in terms of rebounding the basketball on the defensive side. I think if you can see some real growth from him in those areas, you can be very confident about where the organization is heading. I think it falls in the ballot of Alex Sar, maybe compared to any of the other guys that are in year 2 or year number 3. What about you, AB?
What I agree, Ben. What I loved about Alex Sar's rookie year, Ben, is that he got better from summer league up into game 82. That career high against Denver, that second half of the season looked like a completely different guy. And so many guys were writing this guy off, saying that he was a bust after a couple of games. Even some Wizards fans, and I'm just like, this kid came from Australia, a transition to the NBA. It's not that easy. You got to be patient with the kid. And in Wizards Media Day, he talked about how he wants to take more shots in the paint. And we're hoping that a physical, dominant Alex Sar is what we're going to see in year 2. And he even got taller and stronger, Ben, this offseason. I mean, a lot of Wizards did, but Alex Sar was one of them. If he can figure out how to be that key presence in the paint, put his back into the basket, just take advantage of so many offensive opportunities where you have a guy that's like 5-6 inches shorter than you. Alex Sar is the biggest dude on the court. Not only should he get every rebound, but he should also dominate if someone smaller than him is trying to guard him. And I just think right now, where he is, Ben, I feel like, I know we talked about how Keyshawn George might be the best out of the 3 of him, Bub, and Sarr, but I really think Sarr could be that guy. And the whole idea of the power forward center position, I just want the debate to go to rest, because at the end of the day, man, we want to see him succeed in no matter any position, whether it's forward or center.
One of the things of note last year when you look at Alex Sar in terms of an offensive breakdown, his true shooting percentage, under 50%, he was just around 48%. Throughout his rookie season, and I think a big part of that was because he struggled around the paint, which seems weird for a guy at his size and his skill set. You'd think this guy should be great, should be super efficient around the basket, but that ultimately wasn't the case, and part of that was because the type of shots he was taking. We saw the usage rate, which we'll get into in my next point in a little bit, With the amount of shots that you saw him taking, where he is fading away from the basket, he's trying too hard maybe to create his own shot. And I think at times it kind of halted what he would be able to do on the floor, because if you have an opportunity as a 7-footer, you get somebody a little bit smaller, somebody who's trying to guard 1 through 5 on you. Let's say you have somebody at 6'8" or 6'9" on you. That should be an opportunity with Sarr to use his size, his physicality, and speed, because he's good with the basketball in his hands. But too often we saw him get the ball around the mid-range area, try to create his own shot, and ends up being a pretty low percentage one. And you'd like to see him just be more physically able, more capable with the size that he has to be a physical presence down low. At times you just go, man, Alex, just go up and dunk the ball, just lay it up. And I almost had the same epiphany when it came to this, because watching Maryland basketball over the years and calling the games, I almost saw the same thing out of Julian Reese. Both guys that were the tallest players on the floor, they'd have opportunities right around the rim, but for some reason just lacked that killer instinct when it came to just throwing the basketball down. I want to see that get better for Alex Sar this year, because in terms of efficiency in the paint last year, it wasn't good enough for Alex Sar. Yes, he made over 100 threes and he could stretch the floor, but he took a ton of three-point shots, and you'd like to see him be even more efficient as a three-point shooter, which I think he'll have the ability to do. It's going to be up to having his teammates around him make plays for him and ultimately have others create for you, because you want to see this team move the basketball a lot more. That's what Brian Keefe said last week in Media Day. He said we're going to be a team that moves the ball, moves it often. We don't want to see as much isolation ball as we saw in the past year. I think there's going to be real opportunities for guys on this team to become playmakers more than you would have expected them to, and allow Alex Sar to get some easy opportunities right around the rim.
And it starts with, Ben, you mentioned being aggressive. That also means don't fade away when you're like 10 feet away from the basket. We saw a lot of that of year one, Alex Sar, and we're hoping that he becomes that dominant beast. And what I want to see, Ben, obviously I want him to be that physical center in the paint, but a guy that's so quick like him, he can bring up the ball up the court. Those high-tempo, fast break, 2-on-1, 3-on-2s. I have full confidence that he can do that. And it all starts with what he has around him. You have a guy in Trey Johnson who defenses are going to make sure that where he is on the court. And it opens up opportunities for guys like Alex Sar, a guy who wants to take those alley-oop dunks. And I just like there's no stress on this young kid right now. Like, there's no expectations. Obviously, we want this kid to be a top 10 center in this league, but right now it's, can you get better year two? And when it comes to splits, Ben, is there anything that you want to see in particular? For me, 15 and 10 would be ideal.
Yeah, I mean, 15 and 10 would be the easiest route to go. In terms of shooting splits, you'd like to see him at least be 50%, if not better, in terms of total field goal percentage, and then maybe uptick to around 33 to 35% from beyond the arc. Those would be really solid numbers for Alex Sar. I think if Sarr can develop into the player that you'd expect a number 2 overall pick to be, a dominant physical presence down low, somebody that can get you 8 to 10 boards per game, that can chip in defensively, add a block and a half per game, because, man, defensively, that is really good stuff. You have such great upside at that position if you have Alex Sar averaging around a block per game and also contributing, just getting his hand in passing lanes, being good instinctively on the defensive side. He's going to elevate you that much more as an organization, because if you have that position locked down, you have somebody that has the ability to go operate out of the pick and roll, get you buckets down low if you need it, and then get you a rebound or strap up toward the end of the game. That's going to put you in a good position going forward when ultimately maybe you do add another talented piece, whether it's another forward or a guard at some point alongside. I think the possibilities would be endless for this team to really take another leap next year if Alex Sar does officially hit. And I think most Wizards fans agree. I put a poll out on our Twitter at Locked On Wizards if you're not following already. I said, who is the most important player to make a jump this season for the Wizards? And the options I put out, Bub, Sarr, Keyshawn, and Bilal. And 48% of you guys, that was the overwhelming majority, said that Alex Sarr is the most important player to take a leap in year number 2 or year number 3 if you're Bilal Coulibaly. And I absolutely 100% agree. I think a lot of the fan base has the understanding of what a true, really solid, a 4 or 5 can mean for your team.
We talked to our good friend Linnell Willingham, Ben, and he talked about how last year Jonas Valanciunas was a big mentor for a guy like Alex Sar. And this year, we don't really have that guy, but we also brought up the fact, you brought up the fact, Ben, like, did this team do it on purpose? Are they thin at the forward and center position because of maybe not the whole idea of ethical tanking, but maybe they want to see and say, hey, Alex, you have to be the one go out there and get that many rebounds.
You know, I think it's a good point because when Linnell brought this up, and unfortunately we had some internet issues, so we weren't able to actually get him back on the pod today. We'll have him probably later in the week. He'll probably be a quite frequent guest on Locked On Wizards throughout the season because he's always got something to say. I'll tell you that about this Wizards franchise. Yeah, he brought up a good point though because Valanciunas was a really good veteran player to play alongside and help teach Sarr some of the tricks of the trade. You don't really have that right now. And I guess Marvin Bagley is the veteran that'll come off the bench. I don't know if he's going to be as big of a mentor that Valanciunas was. I highly doubt that because I think there's going to be some more expectations put on Alex Sar here in year number 2. More of an emphasis on getting him going the way they think he can offensively because we know this organization is super high in him, and I know that they don't really believe any of the qualms that exist about an effort thing. They said, do you think there's anything effort-wise that you need to see more of out of Alex Sar? Dawkins and Keith both said, no, I think he's got a great motor. He can really get it done on both ends of the floor. We just need to see him put a couple of different things together. And ultimately, I think there's some truth to that, and I know Linnell kind of touched on this when we talked to him off the air. He said sometimes it seems like Alex Sar needs somebody to pick and choose the spots where they really need to get after him and say, hey man, like you gotta put a better effort out there. You gotta get after it on the glass or get in better position and box out your man. And maybe there is some truth to that because in the summer league, the first game versus the second game, the effort was kind of different from Alex Sar. But who knows? This is a really big year for him, I think. And as you mentioned, there's not as much pressure on him because you're not trying to win a bunch of games, but you do want to see him improve drastically, especially when it comes to the offensive side of the basketball. I'm good with where he is defensively outside of rebounding. That obviously has to get better.
Good defensively. Sorry to cut you off, Ben. He's so good right now, and he's only going to get better.
I'm good. He's already almost an elite level rim protector. He can really bolster what you do defensively because of that aspect of his game. But ultimately, if they want to take the next step as an organization, they're going to need more out of him offensively. That's just the way I look at it.
100%. And I'm looking forward to it, Ben. I really think he can be the best out of the big three.
Absolutely. So we got some lore from the inner squad scrimmages. Somebody hit a game winner in one of those. We're going to tell you what we've heard so far when we come back here on Locked On Wizards. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with a brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move. Whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors, Peloton Tread Plus is the best way to do it. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. So we've seen some of the competitiveness, some of the action already from training camp and had the inter squad scrimmage that took place at Care First Arena. It wasn't open to us, wasn't open to anyone. I know I saw some people on Twitter saying, hey, why wouldn't you have this open to the fans? We'd love to see it. Saw some really intriguing looking things. And for starters, Cam Whitmore delivered some really crisp passes around the perimeter. One of them in specifically, this will get you hyped up, AB. I know it already did because I saw you tweet about it. Whitmore was on the left wing, I believe, and he zipped in a pass where he kind of threw a wraparound down to low to TV, who flushed it. So you love to see him getting better as a playmaker because one of the things for Whitmore coming out of Houston when he comes over in this trade, a lot of people have often said that offensively seemed like a black hole at times. Some of the possessions were a bit more empty with him. But if you can get the most out of him as a playmaker, if you can get the most out of anybody on this team as a playmaker, I think everybody's going to be a lot better, including Alex Sar, who we've talked about this entire video. You need guys that can get him the basketball when he is open under the basket. And I think at times last year, the Wizards really lacked playmaking ability, and ultimately that's what led to their offensive rating being the worst in the NBA last year.
Cam Whitmore, Ben, I think this season, there's so much expectations that he could be that guy. And it's amazing how during media day, people were hyping him up, a lot of the players. and coaches talked about how he's already making a presence, how he wants to have that role here in DC. And again, it's crazy because he hasn't played a game as a Wizard, and his playmaking and the whole what happened in Houston is what it is. But now that he's gonna have hopefully carve out a role here in Washington, this kid could average 18 to 20 points per game and hopefully become a starter at the 3, and then that shifts up the guys like Bilal Coulibaly. Is he coming off the bench? Keyshawn at the 4, I think that's where he's solidified at. A lot of questions are going to be asked when Cam Whitmore steps up, and when he steps up, I think he's going to – I really think he could be, outside of Trey Johnson, he could be the second best player on this roster at the end of the season. So there's just so much talent on this roster right now, and it all starts with Cam Whitmore. And you mentioned what I was talking about on X. It was the pass that he had to Tristan Vucevic. I mean, you just love to see it.
So honestly, with the addition of Cam Whitmore this summer and the way it's been hyped up right now, the situation, the attention it's garnered, this feels like a guy that we just drafted top 10 overall. That's the kind of hype we have right now for a guy like Cam Whitmore, who comes over after 2 really good offensive seasons where he's unable to carve out a distinct role with the Houston Rockets. This is a guy that was a top talent in the draft 2 years ago, and ultimately this Wizards team was super interested in him. Will Dawkins asked him on draft night how he'd feel about playing at home because they were really thinking about it. It was they were heavily in consideration to get Cam Whitmore in that draft. I know a lot of Wizards fans, you included, AB, were the proponent that you should go out and get Cam Whitmore in this draft. They kept tabs on him this entire time. They gave a lot of credit to the grassroots scouts, everybody that kept up with his situation in Houston, checked in on his availability, and the right time finally came. This feels like we just drafted a brand new player, and we're just waiting to see what he's able to do in a new opportunity. In a way, this is a completely different situation for him than it was in Houston, so it's almost like he's in a rookie season, but he's got 2 years of NBA experience under his belt. That's why I get super excited for it.
And it's funny because you asked him during media day, you feel like you have a chip on your shoulder. It just seems like his whole career going into the NBA, he's always had people doubt him, and I'm really hoping that a lot of those doubts will be answered this upcoming season.
AB, in that inter-squad scrimmage, there was a sudden death situation, and a game winner was hit by none other than Keyshawn George. And you and I have talked about it all summer. Who are we going to see take shots in clutch situations? Is Keyshawn George going to be one of these players? He's finally getting some attention nationally. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube. I've seen tweets, NBA insiders saying, I think Keyshawn George might be poised for a super big sophomore season. And the confidence is really what sticks out to me. You saw the quote he had when he talked to Bijan Todd last week. He said there's not going to be as many possessions as last year. We don't know Keyshawn George is on the court, which shows he's got a belief in himself. We know his teammates and the organization believes in him heavily. Just look at the way he played in the Summer League. Look at the way he played in the America Cup. He had a different level of confidence. He was doing things you didn't see him do in the regular season with the basketball in his hands. If he has a matchup he feels like is favorable to him, he's going to go and get his buckets. That's the kind of player I think Keyshawn George is right now, and it's going to show up very early on in the season.
We saw in the Summer League, Ben, him taking up coast to coast with Kamamala, watch him backing down players. I understand it's Summer League, but the development from year 1 to year 2, it's going to be there. And the international play, you put all that together, I think he had a really good summer when it comes to getting better. Will Dawkins told the guys, you have this amount of days to come back and get yourself ready for this year 3 of this rebuilding. Keyshawn George, I think last year, Ben, I talked about Alex Sar's 34-point game against the Nuggets, but Keyshawn George had a clutch 3 in that game in the corner. I remember that. And just seeing moments like that, they build up. They build confidence for these young guys. If we talk about confidence with Bub, with Alex Sar, Keyshawn George could arguably be the second best scorer on this team or third best scorer on this team at the end of the year because he's just so freaking talented, and he got bigger and stronger this offseason, and he just looks like an NBA player. It doesn't seem like those young guys, like he doesn't seem like a young guy. He seems like a vet the way he talks about himself on and off the court, and like you mentioned, he hit that game winner in that scrimmage. You love to see it, and I'm hoping that translates into the season.
So the second Summer League game, too, specifically, was not his best day shooting the basketball. I believe he was 3 of 14 from the field in that game. He did have 5 steals in the game, which was absolutely ridiculous. But with Keyshawn George taking 14 shots in the game, to me, I viewed it as uncharacteristic that you would see that level of inefficiency from him. I think he struggled from beyond the arc that night, and that's just one of those things. You're going to have nights like that where you're just unable to get the jumper going. But with that being a night where you don't really see that as something that happens often with Keyshawn, the fact that he has the confidence to go out there in a game like that and get 12, 14, 15 shots in a game, I think it's a good sign of the confidence you're going to see from him during the season. And if you have a night where he is even remotely better than that, he's going to get his buckets. I could see him being a guy, 15 points, 5 assists, and 5 boards, which would be a really, really drastic improvement for him in year number 2.
And I'm hoping that he can make an all-defensive team, second or third team. I think you mentioned the 5 steals that game. He has hands always in the passing lane, and he can guard 1 through 4. A great two-way player. I know a lot of people are comparing him to Jalen Williams. I'm hoping that he can play that role here in Washington.
That would be so sick if you had a guy that could take on the new role as this team's Jalen Williams. That would be awesome. All right, when we come back, we're going to go through some predictions we have here ahead of the preseason on Locked On Wizards. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet. Player props, same-game parlays, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting. Whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup, it's quick and easy and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. One final segment to go here on Locked On Wizards. Some predictions ahead of the preseason. And I always make these predictions with a grain of salt because usually they're very wrong. Everybody's always wrong with their preseason predictions. But the one that I've been harped on now for a couple weeks is that Trey Johnson's going to make a serious run toward the Rookie of the Year award. And we talked a little bit about this throughout the summer, and in recent weeks we've been flirting around with the ideas of different lineups. And it seems like Trey Johnson will be a guy that ultimately comes off the bench. That's what most people think, at least to start the season. I still hold out a little bit of hope that you might see him crack the starting lineup opening night, maybe beating out somebody and earning that spot. But I think he's going to play starter minutes regardless off the bench. And with that being the case, he's going to absolutely put himself in the running to be the Rookie of the Year. He is so poised and so talented, has an unparalleled level of confidence to his game for a player that hasn't even set foot on the NBA floor outside of the Summer League. The way his teammates talk about him, the way the coaches talk about him tells me everything I need to know about Trey Johnson and what type of rookie season he's going to have. And also keep this in mind. On back-to-back nights where you have load management now that takes place throughout the NBA, the Wizards will also likely take part in this. CJ McCollum and Chris Middleton, who you expect to start on the majority of nights for this team in the early part of the season before things change, probably post-trade deadline. On those back-to-back nights, I think you see Trey Johnson crack the starting lineup. You might see Cam Whitmore crack the starting lineup on those nights. And those where you might see the opportunities for Trey Johnson really ramp up and you get that first 25-point game, that first 30-point game. And I mentioned it at one point in the year, I expect a 40-point game for Trey Johnson. I think it can happen post-All-Star break when he gets all the opportunities to play 30-plus minutes. I think it's going to do it. It's going to happen.
100% agree with you, Ben. I think also him I think he has to finish the top 3 finals for Rookie of the Year. Last year, Alex Sar got robbed. I don't know how he didn't finish top 3. I think if he doesn't win Rookie of the Year, let's say Cooper Flight has an amazing year, I know for sure he's going to finish top 3 in voting. But going back to his opportunities here, that 40-point game, I can definitely see it, Ben. And I'm hoping that happens, those opportunities and minutes come sooner rather than later because, again, I don't want to hinder the development of such a young guy, a young superstar, potential superstar here in Washington. And I asked him during media day, I said, what was it like summer league experience? What was one thing that you took away? He said it just felt like a regular game to him any other day as an NBA player. And like you mentioned, the confidence, that's what you love to see. And the whole idea of him not having any hobbies outside of basketball, it's hilarious. It's just this guy, ball is life for this kid. And once this kid steps on the court, it's just going to look like the game it's so natural for the kid. And I can't wait. And I really want to see, Ben, when it comes to offensively, outside of the isolations, how does Coach Brian Keefe get this kid open? Will he be like a Klay Thompson in the Golden State Warriors offense where you have elevator screens or high ball off screens? It's just so many things you could do for this guy. And then once he's hot in games, it opens up opportunities for other guys here. We talk about Trey Johnson's playmaking. It's very underrated, and we'll just have to see come year one.
Dude, I'm itching for Sunday to get here because in a way it's kind of going to feel like the Summer League. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure we'll see the veteran guys play, but maybe they don't play as many minutes early on, kind of the way you'd expect a preseason to go. So you're going to get like a heavy dose of the rookies, and maybe this will be a game where you see Trey Johnson really try to assert himself. We know it's a competitive atmosphere. It's a meritocracy this year. So everyone's trying to earn every single minute that they're going to get on the floor when the regular season starts. So with that being said, maybe you see these guys really trying to assert themselves out there. Does Trey Johnson go out there and take 10 shots already in the first preseason game? Does he play enough minutes to do so? Does Cam Whitmore try to make a statement in that game? It's going to be fun on Sunday watching this Wizards team play. I'm really looking forward to it. 3 p.m. on Sunday, the Wizards host the Toronto Raptors in the first preseason game.
Yeah, I think finally Wizards basketball is back. In preseason, like you mentioned, it is more summer league vibe than regular season. But come that regular season, that first 2 weeks, that stretch of games is going to be difficult. But as Wizards fans, as much as you don't want to see L's, you want to see a tough competition. You want to see how can these young guys step up. Year 3 of this rebuild, again, there's no expectations of you making the playoffs, but we want to see growth in offensive rating, defensive rating. This team can't get blown out 20-plus point games per night, having double-digit losing game streaks. It's just, you don't want that to happen, and we're hoping that they can build off of second half of last season.
So looking through the Wizards schedule, obviously it starts off really tough. You get the Bucks on opening night on the road, and then you're on the road again 2 days later at the Dallas Mavericks. So you get Cooper Flagg versus Trey Johnson. That'll be exciting to see before you finally come home to take on the Charlotte Hornets in your home opener. That's a big one for me, and I know this like fake beef or whatever that's taking place between Wizards fans and Hornets fans, but that's a game ultimately you maybe use as a measuring stick for your young squad, because the Hornets, a very young team, the Wizards going to be a very young team. You're at home for the first time. Maybe it's an opportunity for your young guys to try to make a statement in front of the home crowd. I think they're going to fare a little bit better through the first part of the season than people think. I've seen people already saying, wow, we're really going to lose our first 12 games. I think out of the first 12 games, they actually win 4 of them, which will seem pretty high considering what their win total is probably going to be this year. But I think with the veteran players like McCollum and Middleton playing more of those minutes early on in the season, I think they're actually going to compete pretty heavily early in the season. If you think about it this way, you haven't gone through the grind of like half or almost the full season at this point. You're not out of it already. So typically you have more of your guys motivated to be out there competing at a high level. That's why it gets tough toward the end of the season. Sometimes, like the Wizards last year, for example, in the final quarter or so of the season, you have all these young guys who are getting their first opportunity, so ultimately that gives them more to play for, and that's why they're able to compete more. But at times, when the season's kind of already lost, I feel like you have nights where guys just mail it in, and you don't want to see that this year at all. You'd hate to see that, absolutely. That's one thing I think you can't see. But with that being said, I feel like guys are even more motivated in an early stage of the season to compete. So I think they might surprise some people and maybe win a couple of those games you don't expect them to.
I have the boldest take of the century, man. I think the Wizards will win an in-season tournament game.
Well, they're 0-8, so it's a very bold prediction at this point. But look at it. So group stage, they actually have a NBA Cup game on November 7th against Cleveland. Okay. And then another one, NBA Cup group stage. You get the Raptors on the road, and then the Hawks at home. So I don't know. There might be some opportunities for the Wizards to win an NBA Cup game. Let me see what the fourth one is here. I'm trying to pinpoint it. Oh yeah, so the Pacers on the road. Oh Lord. I mean, the Pacers are beat up though, completely different from the team that was in the NBA Finals. No Tyrese Halliburton this year. They lose Miles Turner. So maybe you can find a win in one of those games. I really hope so, AB. I do.
I'm hoping so as well. And I think even if they don't win these games, man, I think it'll be a lot more competitive than last season.
Yeah, absolutely. Drop your predictions for the regular season, for the preseason, whatever it may be. They can be as bold as anything you want. Drop them below. Let us know how you guys are feeling 6 days out from the NBA preseason starting. Wizards basketball is almost back, and AB and I are going to take you through this whole thing Monday through Fridays, available on all platforms. If you're not already part of the DC family, subscribe, follow us on our socials at Locked On Wizards on Twitter and LockedOn_Wizards on Instagram. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today and every single day. For your second, check out the Locked On NBA Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Josh Lloyd hosts it. It's a great show. It'll give you everything you need to know to set your lineup by the time the regular season begins. AB and I are going to keep it rolling. Abdullah Ayubi, my co-host. I'm Ben Strober, DC family. We'll talk to you tomorrow.